The fallout continues from Rudy Giuliani's reveal 2 nights ago that Trump had actually repaid Michael Cohen for paying off former adult film star Stormy Daniels for her affair with Donald Trump. We broke it down on yesterday's show. It's incredibly complex. It's complicated purposefully. Nobody seems to know what's going on because it appears that if he did repay him, question arises, why did Michael Cohen say that he'd never been repaid? Is that a violation of campaign finance laws? A number of things like that. And so now they're attempting to pick up the pieces. And first up, we have Rudy Giuliani and him attempting to clarify what it is that he might have meant 2 nights ago.
He didn't know the details of this until we knew the details of it, which is a couple weeks ago. Maybe not even a couple, maybe 10 days ago. Remember when this came up? October 2016. I was with him day in and day out then. I can't remember the details of what happened. Imagine if that came out on October 15th, 2016, in the middle of the last debate with Hillary Clinton.
So to make it go away, they made this
Cohen
payment.
didn't even ask. Cohen made it go away. He did his job.
So, and again, they're saying, despite all of what you just heard, it has nothing to do with the campaign, so it's not a violation of campaign laws, even though they're clearly saying it had an effect on the campaign. Rudy Giuliani also put out a statement about a couple of different things. First, he says there is no campaign violation. The payment was made to resolve a personal and false allegation in order to protect the president's family. It would have been done in any event, whether he was a candidate or not, because we're just, after a couple of decades, we're just so used to having to hush up his affairs. It would have obviously, standard operating procedure. Second, my references to timing were not describing my understanding of the president's knowledge, but instead my understanding of these matters, because they've been saying for some time that Trump didn't know anything about this, that somehow he had been put into an NDA with Stormy Daniels without ever knowing about it, and then had paid back more than $130,000 without ever knowing about it, which seems a little bit odd. It also raises the question, what are you going up on TV and just giving a hunch about what you thought happened? You're a legal representative of the president now, and you're talking without any knowledge about what he knows or did know. That seems a little bit questionable. It goes on into other areas, but this is what we've got so far on the Cohen, his attempt to clarify things, and we'll have Trump's response in a little bit.
Okay, so I just want to jump in and clarify a bunch of things. Number one, everyone in the country knows he's lying. We're just done with it, okay? Like, even the Trump guys, I think they're barely pretending that they don't know that he's lying. I mean, when he said, I don't know anything about it, and Giuliani said, well, of course you had to make the payment. You didn't want that coming out in the middle of a Hillary Clinton debate. Well, we're done with it. That's obviously about the campaign. The campaign, by the way, this is important. The campaign doesn't have to pay the money for it to be a campaign finance violation. In fact, the fact that Michael Cohen paid the money is more of a campaign finance violation because it's not part of the campaign's money. It's that guy giving $130,000 in effect to the campaign, which he's not allowed to do. The max is $5,400. And by the way, this is also very important. You also cannot loan the campaign anything above $5,400. So even if all of the fact patterns that they are all stating were all true, which is hilarious. Of course, that's not the case. But if Trump and Giuliani somehow you threaded that needle and you got, and yeah, okay, sure, he knew but didn't know, but kind of knew but didn't know, and I believe all that. Even so, it's a loan to the campaign, which was then repaid in 2017, according to Trump and Giuliani, and that's way over the $5,400. That's a campaign finance violation. That is against the law. That's criminal, etc. And he admitted it. He said it. He said it was because of the debates. We're done with it. We're done with it. They're so monumentally stupid, and I'll tell you why he did it in a second. But first, a quick aside. Then I want to have everybody jump in, and then at the end, I'll tell you why all this is happening. Okay. So he said, I don't know, October 2016. Who remembers October 2016? I think we all remember October 2016. It was kind of an important moment in American history.
Simpler times.
Right? And it wasn't like October 1986, who remembers? No one remembers, right? 2016, that wasn't that longer. Anyway, he made one other reference. I'm gonna go to graphic 19 here and then video 12. He made one other reference Giuliani did to memory. He said, I would doubt that the president would recall it because it was mixed up in a whole bunch of other things. $130,000 would not be an amount that would cry out to you that this was a settlement of some substantial charge. Okay, the second part's hilarious. $130,000. I found that on the sofa. I mean, who would even bother reporting that? Okay, even if you're super rich, which Trump is not, but even if you're super rich, $130,000 is still a lot of money. Okay, everyone. Bill Gates notices $130,000. If someone made that payment on his behalf, that would be a big deal. But the first part's the one that I was amazed by. The president would recall it because it was mixed up in a whole bunch of other things, or I doubt that the president would recall it. Because he's now implied several times the president has a really bad memory. So I just want to go to the president and see if he agrees.
I don't have teleprompters here, folks. I don't need teleprompters. It's called like up here, and it's called memory, and it's called other things.
I have a good memory and all that stuff, like a great memory. I have a really good memory.
And I have a very good memory. I have a good memory, like a great memory.
I have a great memory. I'm blessed with a great memory.
One of the great memories of all time.
Well, I guess that's settled. One of the great memories of all time. So he couldn't possibly misremember.
This is a mess. It's like none of it makes sense. They're all saying, and they're supposed to have this kind of like secret language. They've been discussing things. I think they need a translator, because why did you say this in the first place? And then it's not even, the lies aren't even making any sense. Like, I can't even put it together and try to figure out what they're trying to do other than just not tell the whole truth.
Right, that's it. It's like, yes, there are a lot of different facts being put out there, or statements being put out there as fact. And they all contradict each other. So it would lead you to believe that because of all that, because it's not easy to understand, that it's complicated. But it is not complicated. It's very simple to me. Michael Cohen's job is take this money, make people shut up for all the terrible things that I do. There are a lot of inconvenient truths about that dynamic as it relates to campaign finance, as it relates to trying to become president of the United States. And because it's got such a simple explanation, and that explanation yields terrible consequences for them. But the only other aspect to this is like, how do we hold them accountable? Like, what is that?
Well, that's a good point.
Actually get them down.
You said it wasn't complicated. Allow me to complicate it a little bit. So Rudy Giuliani came out and said, that Cohen was being repaid. According to Rudy Giuliani, he spoke with Trump that night, 2 nights ago, and Trump said, "You did a great job. He loved his performance." And then Trump comes out and tweet storms yesterday morning, largely agreeing with everything that Giuliani had said in language that Trump doesn't actually use, but some lawyer did for him. So then it becomes a little bit odd when Donald Trump is asked about this today. And if you could get video 5 ready, you're going to see that apparently maybe he doesn't agree with Giuliani after the fact.
Rudy knows it's a witch hunt. He started yesterday. He'll get his facts straight. He's a great guy. But what he does is he feels it's a very bad thing for our country, and he happens to be right. I will tell you this. When Rudy made the statements, Rudy's great, but Rudy had just started, and he wasn't totally familiar with everything. And Rudy, we love Rudy. He's a special guy. What he really understands is that this is a witch hunt. He understands that probably better than anybody. But when he made certain statements, he just started yesterday, so that's it. But you'll be finding out. It's actually very simple. It's actually very simple. But there has been a lot of misinformation, really. People wanting to say, and I say, you know what? Learn before you speak. It's a lot easier.
And his lawyer,
Who's he talking to?
Speaking.
Who's he talking to?
All that wrong information is from you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so he says repeatedly he needs to get his facts straight. He didn't know what was going on. First of all, seems a little bit odd to hire this guy to represent you, then put him on a media blitz when he doesn't know what's going on. But you've already confirmed what he said. So now he didn't have his facts straight. You need to get your facts straight and let us know which ones weren't actually true.
So let me explain the 2 main parts here. Why bother going on this merry-go-round of lies? So what's the reality? We all know what the reality is. He slept with Stormy Daniels. She has pictures. That's why he decided to pay her instead of just denying it as he did with 29 other women, or whatever the number is up to, right? And so that's why he didn't want it coming out right before the election, and now Giuliani's admitted that. That's why he told Michael Cohen to pay her $130,000. Are we really having this conversation like Michael Cohen and Donald Trump didn't actually talk? Hey, Do you want to pay off the porn star that I slept with? Or you just want to make that call on your own? That $130,000 call that's incredibly important in the election? No, don't bother asking me about it. No, of course they had that conversation. That's the reality, we all know that. So why did Giuliani, and then Trump goes, well, I got nothing to do with it. That's an easy lie, saying I got nothing to do with it. Why not just stick with that lie? The reason they sent Giuliani out there to talk to Sean Hannity and come up with the second lie, which complicated things, was because if Michael Cohen made the payment and Trump didn't pay him back, then Michael Cohen is definitely guilty of campaign finance laws, violating them, okay?
And he continues to deny that he was reimbursed.
Right.
Which is odd, including up to today.
Yeah, which is very, very interesting. But so since then Michael Cohen would be in deep, deep trouble and would then probably have to flip on Donald Trump. They do not want him flipping on Donald Trump because he has information about other stuff, let alone Stormy Daniels. That's why Giuliani had to go out and say, no, we paid Cohen back. No, it wasn't Cohen's money. It wasn't Cohen's money. It's not a campaign finance violation. We paid him back, and so it was Trump's money, and Trump can put in as much as he wants into his own campaign. So that's why their original lie. Now, I love that Trump said, it was his first day. It was just, he just started yesterday. So then why did you send him on Sean Hannity's program to talk for an hour straight?
Right.
So you are the worst manager of all time if that's true. But now, why is Trump going back and forth here and kind of halfway throwing Rudy under the bus if he asked him to do it in the first place? Because that is Trump's MO. What he does is he says, okay, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Rudy Giuliani, whoever it is, go out there and tell this stupid lie that I came up with. And they're like, oh, you sure, Mr. President? That seems, they're like, what do you mean? Yeah, of course I'm sure. Go tell that lie. So they go on TV, they tell the lie, and everybody goes, that's a stupid lie. And then when they come back, he goes, why'd you tell that stupid lie? Because you told me to, right?
He tests the waters for a little bit. And
That's right.
It blows up and it's like, okay, listen, that's not me, that's them.
Yeah.
Exactly, because he never takes personal responsibility, and he's an absolute fool, and he rushes into these decisions and makes people do things that make no sense at all, and then he denies it and blames them because he's a child. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber, and second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.